Okay, we're back for video number 2. Build better customer apps with multi-experience development.
It's going to be interesting. It's kind of nice to get a totally different topic to discuss.
Yeah, I think we would get even more questions
Yeah,
on the Data Hub.
exactly.
Maybe we should invite Andre over sometime.
We should.
Have him live stream.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's. Captions are on. I think.
Hello and welcome to this session on building multi-experience applications. My name is Simon Black, team lead for the Evangelists. Today I'm broadcasting from Ely in Cambridgeshire in the UK. And today I'm joined by Dave Brault, who will talk to us about what a multi-experience development platform is. Hi Dave, and can you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Simon. My name is David Brault, Product Marketing Manager here at Mendix. A little bit about myself. I relocated to Austin, Texas about 6 years ago, where I'm doing this broadcast live. And I'm fully assimilated now to the point where I spend way too much time on the hunt for the best barbecue in Texas. Anyway, let's get back to why you're here, building better customer applications with multi-experience development. During this session, we're going to take a look at how MXDP is changing the development landscape and how Mendix can help. Then we'll demonstrate several different kinds of experiences and let Simon pull back the covers so we can see how they were built. Let's start off with a quote. Good design is actually a lot harder to notice than poor design, in part because good designs fit our needs so well that the design is invisible. And I absolutely love this quote because it's so on point with the topic at hand. The primary purpose of MXDP or multi-experience development platforms is to enable companies to create applications that deliver sophisticated user experiences across many devices and modalities, like the ones you see on the screen right now. Now, the promise of multi-experience, it's phenomenal. Connect the optimal user experience to each customer touchpoint with fit-for-purpose applications that make every user interaction efficient and effortless, or invisible, as Don would say. Now, the Mendix platform delivers on this promise with a truly integrated solution that uses a single skill set to build rich and engaging applications and experiences for any situation. Let's take a deep dive into how the platform supports the rapid development of multiple experience solutions. At the foundation layer, the platform services and cloud-native architecture of Mendix does all the heavy lifting. It handles the complexity of dealing with loosely coupled applications and services running on a service-based architecture. It also handles all the core services like logging and security and backup. Mendix applications and services are completely portable, which means they can be moved or distributed across cloud providers at will. Now, at the next level, integration to any service or data source can be consumed and published inside Studio Pro. So that's REST, SOAP, OData, SQL, JSON, XML, even proprietary sources, all with no coding. They can be packaged up as reusable connectors inside of Data Hub or used in app services published in the Mendix marketplace. App services, what they do, they combine UI, building blocks, widgets, logic, connectors, and services into packaged business capabilities, which can be used for building experiences higher up in the development chain. Now with Data Hub, these same reusable connectors can be exposed as virtualized data entities in a searchable catalog, which is great because now any developer has the ability to access rich metadata, and equally important with built-in governance and security access. Now, the peak of this pyramid, developers stand atop a mountain of technology abstracted in reuse that allows them to focus on designing compelling user experiences, which means development is no longer constrained by technology. Okay, so now that you've seen the architecture, let's see what multi-experience applications look like and how they're built. Now, for the rest of this session, we're going to follow a customer through a journey of buying a car, from ordering it to getting it delivered with a small hiccup along the way. Let's start with researching and buying the car, which involves a combination of progressive web apps, chatbots, augmented reality, and leveraging native mobile applications and their device features, all built with Mendix. The customer journey begins here with this progressive web app. It's responsive, so it runs on any form factor, and it's fast because most of the application runs locally on the device. Now, instead of calling or emailing the dealership, the next experience is an inline chatbot to schedule a test drive for 3 p.m., using a combination of both typing and voice-to-text capabilities. Now, after the test drive, the customer uses augmented reality to configure their car by overlaying different paint and wheel colors, because dealerships rarely stock every single color combination. Deciding to buy the car, the customer harnesses the power of the phone's location services to populate their address and uses a credit card scanner to populate their credit card details, all without typing. And last, in between commercial breaks, the customer uses a native TV application to check on the status of their car as it moves through the various stages of the manufacturing process. So at this point in time, I'm going to let Simon share with us how he used Mendix to build some of these experiences. Simon?
Thanks, Dave. In my sections, I'll be taking a deeper dive into how those experiences were built using the Mendix platform. In this section, we'll cover how we built the chatbot experience using AWS Lex, how we built out the AR experience using our React Native platform, and finally, how we built out the experience for our Fire TV Stick app. So let's take a look at how those experiences are built. First of all, inside this progressive web application, we can purchase a number of vehicles, but also ask certain questions using this chatbot feature here. This particular chatbot is using AWS Lex as its chatbot engine, and we can configure it to use a number of dialogues and understand what our customer is asking it. We can also add certain context data from our Mendix application. The way we train those bots is using the bot trainer inside the AWS Lex interface here. And all bots work in a similar manner. You build them using intents, slots, and entities. An intent is something that you want the bot to do. And here we have a number of bots that we've created, but we have this scheduled test drive, the one we showed in that video earlier. So here we can see we have an intent to make an appointment. And with this, we have to give it a number of utterances. Essentially, an utterance is a sentence, an example sentence that we want to train this bot on. It will recognize those.
Sorry. I'm just wondering, like, what does this have to do with Mendix? Or, like, it's just AWS Lex that does all the setup, and what? Like, how is this a selling point?
I think it's supposed to tell us how easy it is to integrate with AWS Lex.
Yep.
And create
Is
that
that
multi-experience.
I don't think this is new, but I think it's about the journey, and that the entire process is available on a multitude of different devices. And I think that's new. For example, the start of the application where he had all the models, that was a PWA.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's new. But the fact using AWS Lex in itself is not new. We've
No.
done that with Google Assistant, of course.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I think it's a bit. Well, I think it's interesting that they spend so much time on explaining intents and like how a chatbot works.
True.
Well, it's not in Mendix, but okay.
Patterns and trigger an action based on this particular intent. We can also pick out certain key data from that particular utterance. So things like the booking type, the time, and also the car that we want to book for. So all chatbots work in a very similar manner, and we'll show you more as we go through these demonstrations. So first we can see here we have the booking type, the car model, date, time, and these are stored in slot values. These are things that we want to keep and store inside our application. Because a chatbot is very dumb. It doesn't actually store any data. It simply acts on certain information and sends that back to the requester. So let's go ahead and have a look at how that is built inside the Mendix model. So here we have the Mendix model for our application. And we first have our progressive web app where we can see the different details. And we also have a microflow that is being used to send the data to that particular Lex service. Now this is using the AWS Lex connector available on the Mendix App Store. And inside that particular connector, you can set up the keys and identities, as well as the utterance that we're going to send to this particular chatbot. And as I said, an utterance is like a message. So it will interpret that message and come back with a response. And inside that response will be a number of slots. And those are how we store the actual values, the information like the time, the date, and also the car type. And we're storing those inside the Mendix application so that we can remember that conversation. And we can also create that booking. Inside the UI of this application for this chatbot, we've just simply used a list view. And inside that list view, we can showcase all of those messages we've sent and also received from that chatbot. So very quickly, that's been our overview as to how we built that integration. Let's take a look at our next integration, which was to build an AR experience. So to do so, we actually used a library that's available for React Native. This is called Vero React. And Vero React allows you to create VR and AR experiences, leveraging the AR capabilities of the device, whether that be AR Core or AR Kit. And by using this, we can actually start to build those visualizations. And the way we did this is inside the modeler, we built out some custom widgets. Inside these widgets, they allow us to set up certain markers to track. So here we have a tracking marker.
He makes it sound so easy.
Yeah.
We just built some widgets.
Yeah.
That's it. We just spent like 2 to 3 months on building some widgets. And then I drag them in 5 seconds.
No, but they showed in like 2 days ago on this stream, they showed how easy it is now to make new React widgets.
Very true.
And Willem is going to try it, so we'll get an update on that soon.
I will build you a AR widget next week. Sure.
Just drag and play.
I want to see a virtual chatbot sitting across from my table.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be cool, though. Like a little hologram type thingy. Awesome.
And inside this particular tracking widget, we can set a particular image we want to use to identify and place the object in a 3D space. So here we can select the image, and in this case, we're going to use a Mendix logo. This has some unique characteristics of it so that we can easily identify it in the 3D space. We can also set some other properties such as actions to be triggered when we detect certain items in the 3D space. Inside this pluggable widget, we then have a number of additional widgets to show the object. And in this case, the object is a car and a number of spheres. And the spheres are the icons we saw at the top of that particular car to change the color. If we drill down into the object, we can select the material that is being used. We can choose the interaction and also the events that are used when we actually interact with this particular item. So when the tracker detects that particular marker, it will take this particular object and place it in the 3D space. We can then interact with it, walk around it, and we can get more information from it as well. So it's a really powerful way of being able to preview and look at certain goods, like a car or another product, such as the light bulb, being able to interact with it without actually purchasing it beforehand. So let's move on to our next experience. The last one that we showed was a TV application running on a Fire TV stick. And actually this particular interaction and this particular device is very easy to integrate into. And this is because the application is built using Android. So all applications that are deployed onto a Fire TV stick run on the Android platform. And because the Mendix Make It Native application deploys onto Android, we can simply install it onto the Fire TV stick. And to do so, we just need to use...
What is a Fire TV stick? Is it like a Chromecast kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a Chromecast compatible, but it has actual apps on it.
Ah, okay.
So he's got...
Just a smart TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think it helps that the apps are actually on the Fire Stick, so he can basically bundle the Mendix application and sideload it onto the Fire Stick and make it look like it's running on the TV. Well, it actually is running on the TV, but It's pretty
That
pretty
is
cool.
cool though.
Guide here. This guide uses ADB, which is the Android debugging system, which allows you to connect to a device on your local network and install certain applications. So all we did is make our Fire TV stick available on our network, and using a few commands, we could install it onto that particular device. Now, the way we built that particular application isn't anything fancy. All we needed to do was build out a native application in a separate app here. And here we have the carousel that we saw earlier. So the user was able to see pictures as to what stage of production they were in. And they can swipe through those using their buttons on their particular Fire TV stick. There was one thing that we did.
Weird that he sort of like explains like, hey, this is like how you can push it like with ADB to your Fire TV stick. Like almost like customers should be able to do that too. Well,
Yeah.
I think you should be saying like, hey, and you can like publish it in the Amazon App Store and they can download it because it's Android. I don't know. It's just weird.
This is
Yeah.
the easy way.
It is. As a developer, I think this is really cool though.
I
What?
agree.
Which part?
The fact that you can deploy such a thing to an Android TV sticks, and it opens up a new set of devices basically. I never thought of running a Mendix app on a TV.
Right, but I mean, you could always do that. That's nothing new.
No, it's not new, but I think that,
You hadn't thought of it.
yeah,
before.
exactly, yeah. And he makes it look so easy to just use an Android TV stick on an Amazon whatever Fire TV stick.
Yeah.
They're not as popular in the Netherlands, I think.
No.
Did need to change though. The Fire TV stick runs on a particular TV, and this is a landscape view. We needed to make sure that instead of opening up the application in portrait, we had to open it up in landscape. So to do so is very easy. Inside the application, we have a option to be able to configure it to the screen orientation. This is the code behind the native app that we built for this particular Fire TV stick app. And this is based on the base template available from the platform. And all we've configured is this option here to switch it from portrait to landscape. This is to ensure that when we open up the application, it doesn't first open up in portrait and then flip it to landscape. It makes sure that we open it up and it goes in landscape first. So by changing a few configurations like this, it gives us another device profile, another experience for the user that we might not have even considered beforehand. So in the last few minutes, we've seen a demonstration of how we can use AWS Lex to communicate with a chatbot. We've then seen an AR experience on our native mobile. And the final experience is we saw a TV application using the native platform from Mendix and deploying onto a Fire TV stick app. So I'm going to hand over back to Dave now, who's going to take you on the next journey of our customer journey.
All right, Simon, thanks. Very impressive. Let's move on to the next phase where the customer finds out that there's an issue with their order and now they need to speak to an agent to get it resolved. So in this next experience, the customer receives an automated text message and a push notification that a manufacturing delay is required and it needs their immediate attention. So what they do, they decide to call customer service and they're actually greeted by a virtual agent. Let's listen in.
Hello there. Welcome to Tesla Customer Care. How can I help you today?
I'd like to know the status of my order.
No problem. Can you tell me your order number so I can check that for you?
1086.
Your order 1086 is currently in the chassis manufacturing stage and will be moving on to body manufacturing soon. Would you like me to put you through to a member of our team who can help you further?
Yes, please.
Not a problem at all. I'm connecting you now to a member of our team who has been briefed on your details. Please hold.
Hi, Mr. Black. This is Tesla. My name is Alistair. How can I help you today?
So the virtual agent successfully gathered all the information required to route the caller to the appropriate person and prepare that employee for the call. Now from there, the agent was able to resolve the issue. So at this point, I'll let Simon take control again so he can show you how to build a virtual agent application with Mendix. Simon, back to you.
Thanks, Dave. What we saw there is a customer interacting with a bot using voice recognition. This particular bot was trained using the Twilio dialogue service. Inside Twilio, we can train and build a number of tasks. These tasks are like intents, which we saw in our AWS Lex interface. From here, we can train it on a number of samples, and these samples are like utterances, the same as we had inside our AWS Lex interface, sample words and sentences that we want to trigger. Inside each of these, we also have the ability to program what happens when these particular keywords and sentences are triggered. And in this case, we're doing a redirect to a URL. And this URL is a service hosted on a Mendix application. So all we've done is we've published a REST API from the Mendix application, which will get called and executed when these particular sentences is issued. So let's switch into the model now and see how that experience is built out. Inside the model of this application, we can see here we have this REST API that has been published. Inside that particular API call, we have a mic flow. And this mic flow is executed every time we get that API call. In this particular mic flow, we have a number of steps which is picking up the current task, the information, and then finally it's making a lot of decisions around where it should direct the customer based on the certain input that it's getting. Now, we could have created multiple different API endpoints depending on the different type of interaction, but we wanted one central mic flow so we could show you the complexity of logic that's going on behind the scenes in the Mendix application.
This is exactly, yeah, this is the same what we did with the Google Assistant bot we built for the previous Mendix World. We also had one mic flow where every response from the user came in, and there was like a giant tree of decisions that branched out.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly it doesn't do justice to the complexity.
No, not at all.
So did you also model to the right?
Nope. We're not allowed.
In this case, it's detecting whether a redirect is needed or not. And if a redirect is needed, what it will do is it will then send a custom response back to Twilio to redirect them to a certain number. So in our scenario, we were redirected to Alistair in the customer services team, who was able to then help us and start to fix the issue. And to do that, we actually submitted back some XML. This XML structure defines what phone number we needed to dial to actually talk to the customer. And we can do other things inside this XML. This is a very common structure. AWS uses a similar structure where you can embed it with more content-rich information. Things like phone numbers, pictures, audios, and so on. For the other messages, we just simply use plain text to interact with those. So we've seen in the last few minutes an overview as to how we dealt with those conversations. We used Autopilot from Twilio to be able to handle those conversations and recognize those key utterances, and then direct those to Mendix to get the key information, such as the status of the order and other information. So let's hand back to Dave now for our final part of the customer journey.
Thanks, Simon. During the last part of the buyer's journey, we'll take a look at a couple different experiences used while the car is out for delivery. Let's pick up with the customer asking Alexa for a status update.
So Alexa, ask connected car for the status of my order.
If you let me know your order number, I can look up the status for you.
1086.
Your car has been built and is out for delivery. It will be with you by 3:13 p.m.
Now, when the driver arrives at the customer, they use a native mobile application to walk through a checklist to release the car. Native apps are perfect for when workers need to interact with customers face-to-face. They can capture photographic proof of a successful delivery, or, unfortunately, catalog any damages so that a problem can be resolved as quickly as possible. The native app eliminates paper-based processes by digitally capturing all this information, including the customer's signature once they're satisfied with the delivery. Okay, for one last time, I'll pass control to Simon. He's going to show you how he used Mendix to build the Alexa app and the native mobile application. So Simon, back over to you.
Thanks, Dave. In this next section, we'll take a look how we built that integration into our Alexa device. To build an integration into Alexa, you first need to build a skill. A skill is like an app on the App Store, but it's personalized for Alexa. It uses voice rather than touch or interaction. Here we have a skill that we've created for our connected car journey. And if we drill down on it, we can start to configure it to meet our particular needs. Inside here, we have, first of all, an invocation word. This is the key word or skill name that you want to give to this particular skill. And this will get triggered when you ask Alexa to do something. Next, we have the interaction model. And again, you can see some very similar principles here to how we were doing with the AWS Lex. We can use certain intents, train them on certain utterances, and pick up certain slots. So here we can see the particular dialogue for our status for our order. We can give it some utterances, some slot data that we want to capture, and that can then get triggered inside our Mendix application. So really, as long as you know how to build one type of chatbot or chat interface, you can very easily switch to other type of platforms. They have some subtle differences, but you can see there's a lot of similarities across them. Inside the Alexa information here, we can also set an endpoint. And the endpoint is where we're actually going to get that data from. So when we trigger a certain intent, we then want to be able to process it using this Mendix application. So let's go inside that model and take a look at how that is implemented. So we open up the same model as our Twilio example. We can then start to see the information from our Alexa device. So here we actually register certain handles for those intents. So in the after startup flow, when we start up our application, we can then trigger and set certain information and intents to get triggered when we actually see this particular intent. So in this case, when we see the intent status, it will trigger this particular mic flow. Now, the one we showed in the example was for a status for our order. And inside this particular mic flow, we can see we can get the information about the request, and we can also get information from the slots, so the actual data that we want to capture. And in this case, it's the actual order number that's important. We want to be able to capture whose order it is, look it up in the Mendix application, and respond to that particular chatbot and to Alexa with the information that we need. So here we can see we have a check to see whether the order number was found or not. And if it is found, we will respond with a certain message to it. So here we can see we have a conditional options based on the status of our order. So if the order is delayed, then we will send a certain message to them. If it's in finalization or manufacturing, we'll send a different message. So you can really customize those experiences and those messages you provide back to your users. And again, like we had for Twilio, you can respond with plain text or with SSML. And SSML is an XML format structure which allows you to embed audio, images, and additional information to your Alexa device. Because some Alexa devices have screens. So if you look at the Alexa show, you can actually show information and also play audio at the same time as well. So it's a really easy to use connector. You can simply download this, connect it into your application. And this is actually using the AWS SDK for Java and uses those services and APIs to be able to communicate with it. So let's take a look at our next experience, which is how did we build out the native application for our field service delivery drivers. And again, this was a different application, a different module, And what we tended to do for all of these experiences, we try to break them out into as smaller application as possible and share data across them. This is a really key point about the MXDP, is that your user should be able to seamlessly go through different applications, but also different experiences. So inside this model, we're actually using data that's exposed from those systems from Data Hub. And there's some sessions that are going to be covering what Data Hub is. But inside this model, you'll see 3 colored entities. The first entity is these gray entities here, and these are known as virtual entities. These are not stored in the Mendix application. These are simply retrieved from the source system, whether it be in OData, SQL, GraphQL. The idea is that these can be queried dynamically on any page or any interface, whether it be on native or web. And this allows you to combine that data together to build new experiences and share data across different modalities and different experiences. So inside this application, it was a very straightforward native mobile application. We had some experiences where we could, view the next appointments, we could see the tasks that we needed to completed. But some of the interesting items were things like we can do barcode scanning to be able to check that the VIN number was correct for the car, as well as being able to do native signatures. So using a signature widget, we can interact with that particular user and get them to confirm that they have received that particular vehicle. So in the last few minutes, I've gone through very quickly some of the experiences that we've built using the Mendix platform and giving you a flavor of what is really possible when you push Mendix to the edge and be able to leverage it to its full complexity and full potential. I'll now hand over to Dave to give our final remarks and wrap up this particular session.
Thanks, Simon. Great job as usual. So during the last 20 minutes, we've demonstrated what a multi-experience customer journey can look like if you use Mendix. We utilize PWAs, chatbots, virtual agents, native mobile apps, augmented reality, TV apps, virtual assistants, even an Alexa conversational application. So this, my friend, is what the future of development looks like. So moving forward, you're going to go way beyond just your typical web and mobile applications. In fact, Gartner predicts that by 2024, 1 out of 3 enterprises will use an MXDP to accelerate the speed of IT and business fusion teams to deliver successful digital products. And Mendix is here to help. Gartner selected us as a leader in the multi-experience development category, and we really excel at delivering these types of applications at speed and scale. For example, Mendix is the only leader in the Magic Quadrant that supports all 4 mobile architectures, and we're the only one that supports native, which allows you to deliver the best application for every single situation. Also, multi-experience is much more than just web and mobile, and we can help you deliver additional experiences like immersive, conversational, and recreational. So besides thanking Simon for all of his great work doing the demos, I want to leave you with this final thought today. To build great experiences, the end user must be at top of mind. And the goal is to deliver applications that are so effortless or invisible, as Don would say, that they don't even realize the technology that they're using. So make Don proud and start building some multi-experience applications today. So with that, I'd like to say thanks for attending and have a great day.
Okay.
So,
I mean, yeah. Ja. Coole sales pitch, denk ik. Oh, sorry, English. Cool.
No, but yeah, I agree. I kind of have the feeling that this was, for me personally, and I think the same goes for you, it was a bit less interesting because we've all seen and done it before.
Well, like 5 to 6 years ago, right? I mean,
Well,
the chatbot, I've built that 6 years ago. Like Google integration, wasn't that like 3-4 years ago that we did that? But it's nice to see it all together and to show how you can indeed with Mendix do the multi-channel thing. Although a lot of them come with a side note. Yeah, you can do it on a TV, but apparently only if it's Android.
yeah.
yeah.
you know, but everybody has a Samsung, so you know that's out. Um, you know, and there are some other things in there as well. You know, Alexa. You know, it's nice, but then you got to build it completely separately again for Google Assistant. So, you know, you're gonna be doing that same thing where you're building the chatbot for the FaceTime.
Yep.
And in my experience, those things rarely really work that well. So.
It's hard to make them work properly. I agree with you on that.
True. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this video was more meant to give you an idea of what is possible.
Yeah, so what, like Moes said, he did all of this 6 years ago. But what if you're new to Mendix, like so many people nowadays?
Yeah.
And seeing a video like this can be really inspiring. Even though there are, agreed, a lot of side notes, I think it's still pretty impressive. And yeah,
Yeah, I agree. It's cool to look at.
it is.
And I still think, like we did with Google Assistant, I think it's really cool that we managed to publish a Mendix, well, basically a Mendix app in the Google Assistant store. That idea alone, for me, is like really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for me personally, 6 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined being able to run a Mendix app on a TV. That might have been me.
6 years ago, I was building Pizza Mario. That's not true, by the way. No, I think technology-wise, they've come a long way, and I think that's the point of this video. It's just a showcase of what's possible.
Yep.
Yeah. Still intrigued by the data hub though. Like, and I think this time they were.
No, it was great.
It's like even more mystery. Like, why is it gray here and purple in the other?
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Was my initial thought as well.
Yeah, when was this video recorded? Like maybe 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I think this one's a bit older, like a previous data hub release. They've done some polishing.
I think so too.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it was cool to see everything, and like it might give some people inspiration on how these things can work together. I thought the AR thing was kind of interesting or like funny to see, but yeah, it's just a widget. But it's cool to see, and maybe it will inspire people to think like out of the box and go like, hey, like you can really do some weird stuff on a Mendix platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to take on a challenge to build like a Pokemon Go kind of app in Mendix.
Yeah, well, let's go.
So what are we gonna catch? Corona?
Too soon, Paul.
Oh, too soon. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so any closing remarks for today?
Data Hub, very interesting. A lot of questions.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish we watched the Data Hub X-ray video to dive deeper into that topic. But I guess that's something we can do on the side as well. And well, it will only be a matter of time before we can get our hands on.
It's a matter of life and death.
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Okay, well, if there are no further questions from our viewers, then I'd say thank you very much. Thank you, Adnan and Paul, for joining, sharing your insights and your questions about the Data Hub. I'm really curious to hear the answers.
Yeah, maybe we can have another session on that, or maybe do the X-ray. So thanks for having me, or us. And,
thank
grateful to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll catch you at our next stream somewhere in the near future on a computer screen near you. So thanks, and catch you at the next one.
All right. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.